Hello, and welcome back to NewsLine. This week, we cover Boise State's actions taken to promote suicide prevention and mental health awareness, as well as how the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster is still affecting us today.
Plus, don't miss Cole Young with your Bronco sports update. These stories and more coming up next on your Boise State Newsline for the week of November 28th, 2018.
Thanks for joining us on Newsline. I'm Doug Mason.
And I'm Lily Crolius. On Sunday, Russian armed forces opened fire on and eventually seized 3 armed Ukrainian ships sailing near the coast of Crimea. How many were injured is unknown, but is believed to be between 3 and 6. Who began the conflict is uncertain. Ukrainian officials have released statements saying that the attack was an act of aggression, and Russians stating that the vessels had entered the waters illegally. This is the first time that the Russian and Ukrainian governments have come into open conflict in some time. However, the skirmishes fought at the Ukrainian border against the Russian separatists and volunteers have been ongoing since 2014. On Monday, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko recommended that Parliament back a 30-day martial law. Tensions are high and rising, and we will continue to keep you updated as we know more.
Do you ever feel that sometimes work and school together stresses you out? Or how about this? Seasonal affective disorder? Does that have an impact on your life? Well, BSU has some research that will cheer you up, if you're down for exercise, however. Graduate research at Boise State has claimed that hiking lowers stress levels. Catherine Demps, an associate professor of anthropology at BSU, states, quote, "Julie Heath and I knew we wanted to know how humans make landscape use decisions in recreational contexts," end quote. And thus, this lit the flame of finding out how exercise in nature affects humans' stress levels. The experiment was to test the cortisol levels in individuals' saliva before and after hiking and biking in the Boise foothills. Sienna Madrid of BSU Update states, quote, "Between April and May of 2017, we collected saliva samples from both hikers and mountain bikers 4 days a week between 9 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. at the Camel's Back Park Ridge to Rivers Trailhead. Samples were collected from volunteers before and after recreating, and a survey also was administered after recreating," end quote. Once the data team was ready to interpret their findings, they finalized their hypothesis with the 88 hikers who participated. Demps then concluded the experiment with this statement, quote, "The main result is that there was a decrease in cortisol in general to all the hikers, but cortisol decreased the most in those who hiked through riparian, biodiverse habitats. Now get out there and appreciate the land we all are graced to walk on."
ASBSU and several students have created a task force to help spread awareness about sexual assault on campus, as reported by Marian Fernandez. The task force is superheaded by Michaela Borzanian and senior health studies major and ASBSU president Caleb Smith. According to Borzanian, the idea of the task force originated from Smith and Borzanian, who are both following the Ford-Kavanaugh hearings. According to Borzanian, there are resources on campus available for victims, but there's a lack of education on who to talk to on what Title IX is. To counter this, the task force hopes to start taking to administration to create educational programs for faculty. She added that many people are unaware that both the perpetrator and the victim get contacted in sexual assault cases on campuses. Additionally, the Gender Equity Center is the only confidential resource on campus for victims. Education Secretary Betsy DeVoe released a rewrite of rules that govern campus sexual assault and harassment allegations. According to the Washington Post, these changes would narrow the cases that schools are required to investigate and give the accused more rights by encouraging confrontation. If a student were to come to the task force who has been assaulted, they'll be able to tell them what resources are available without reporting and starting an investigation.
The Office of the Dean of Students applied for the Garrett Lee Smith Grant in February of 2018. On October 1st, the grant, a total of $100,000 a year for 3 years, took effect, allowing the Office of the Dean of Students to channel resources towards programs to address student mental health. Associate Dean of Students Lauren Oe explained that the catalyst for making the decision to apply for the grant came in the spring following the suicides of 3 different Boise State students. OA states, quote, "The work to address mental health is being done by different offices." She also added, "The idea is that as our campus has grown, we need to consolidate. We need one person leading the charge," end quote. According to the Dean of Students, Christian Wutherich, the grant is a way to pilot outreach methods to get students help into a mental health professional's office or to examine their mental health status. The grant and Thorndike's position also allow the office to train faculty, staff, and students to support and recognize when someone might need assistance. Quote, "We have had concerns for a while about our mental health of our students," Wutherich said. He also goes on to add that this is one of the units on campus who works with students who are expressing concerns about mental health, whether it is depression, anxiety, or suicidal thoughts. Thorndike, a former Boise State student herself, applied for the new campus position following her role in outpatient therapy at the Boise VA. Her job on campus is to coordinate grant-specific programs, including training through the Cognito online program, rollout of sources of strength, training students, and managing campus assessment resources and education reports filed regarding suicide concerns. That's a mouthful. Thorndike also explained that her work will revolve around the normalization of mental health topics.
Boise State Dining Services won an A+ rating from PETA 2, a youth animal rights group, for having extensive vegan options for students. According to Marian Frateroli, marketing manager for Boise State Dining Services, not all students know about the vast range of vegan and vegetarian options available at Boise River Cafe, also known as the BRC, and South Fork. Justin Lord, Residential Food Service Director at Aramark, said Boise State Dining Services answered yes to 9 out of the 10 questions on the yearly PETA 2 survey, which is sent out to all colleges and universities across the country. The survey asked questions regarding vegan food entrees, non-dairy milk options, egg replacements, vegan desserts, and whether or not there is a vegan-only station in the dining hall. According to Lord, the BRC has a vegan-only station, which features a made-to-order sauté station where they rotate through vegetables seasonally. They also offer 3 to 4 vegan sauces, and there are 4 different proteins and 3 different grains to choose from, so students can customize their own vegan bowl. Currently, the menu in the BRC in South Fork is around 33% plant-based. For any questions, contact campus's registered dietitian, Jessica Butler.
33%. It's very specific. As news begins to resurface of the meltdown of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, we are seeing more and more loss of animal and sea life worldwide. In March of 2011, the Tohoku earthquake in Okuma, Fukushima Prefecture shut down the plant's action reactors, fission reactions. This was followed by a tsunami that disabled the plant's emergency generators that would cool these reactors. These events led to nuclear meltdowns within the plant, leading to hydrogen air explosions and the release of radioactive materials. Moving on from this, the plant management offered a statement saying that within the next 30 to 40 years, the plant will be decommissioned. That unfortunately is not enough time for the sea life to regenerate enough strength to fight against the deadly radioactive chemicals found in the water and air. In March, all the way until October of 2017, there seemed to be a very large spike in mass quantities of dead species of animals to wash up on shore. To name a few, jellyfish, seals, birds, hammerhead sharks, 250,000 salmon, that's in one spot in Oregon, squid, and many crab species. In a 2016 report by the Administrative Ministries Working Group stated that there are 5 ways of dealing with nuclear water: releasing it into the sea, evaporating it, releasing it after electrolysis, underground burial, or injection into geological layers. Guess which one they chose? After consideration, the commission team chose to release it into the sea. In a yet very disturbing, but of course truthful video depicting the terrible impacts that Fukushima's disaster has had on this earth, it also shows how precious life can be and also urges us as consumers to be efficient and reuse plastic and, most importantly, recycle. To watch this video and learn more, go to YouTube and search Fukushima Update and in quotations, "They're all dead," end quotations, produced by the Watchman Review.
You know, nuclear fallout and all this stuff lasts forever, and life is sacred, so we have to be careful about all this.
A lot of people forget about when they live inland or even when they're living towards the sea, they forget about the effects it has on the animals because they like the ocean, because they like to jump in like a pool, but they don't think about how the ecosystem is incredibly important in the ocean.
It is a home to many animals. In other news, we had a pretty big game, so let's toss it over to Cole for your Bronco sports update.
Thanks, guys. And yes, before this weekend, the Utah State Aggies were on a 10-game win streak. But none of that matters when you step on the field to play the Broncos at home on the blue. Yet again, Boise State is back in the Mountain West Football Championship game. This wasn't an easy task, though, as to get there, the Broncos had to take on the number 21 ranked Aggies of Utah State. The air was cold last Saturday night as the Broncos took the field in possibly their biggest game of the year. Things did start off a little rough as the Aggies drove down the field and scored on this passing touchdown on their opening drive, taking a 7-0 lead. Boise State would then go 3-and-out on their next drive, but would force this interception to get the ball back. The offense would take advantage of this turnover and score on this 1-yard run from running back Alexander Madison. This run tied the game at 7-7. Madison would tack on another score just a little while later, giving Boise State their first lead of the night at 14-7. Things did remain interesting, though, after Utah State would score on this quick jump ball pass in the end zone. But after a few quick field goal exchanges, Boise would be up 20-17. Quarterback Brett Rippon would then throw his only touchdown of the night on this play, after rolling out to his right and finding tight end Garrett Collingham for 6. The point after attempt would be fumbled, and the Broncos would go ahead to be leading 26-17. Utah State was not done yet, though, as they would score on this quick 83-yard screen pass to the running back, which would cut the Broncos' lead down to just 2 points. The score was 26-24 with very little time left in the fourth quarter. The pressure was on for the Broncos to run out the clock and take home the victory, but this huge 60-yard run by Alexander Madison would all but end the game. This would also set up another score from Madison from 3 yards out. He would end the game with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. These stats secured him the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week award. This was the Broncos' 6th victory over a bowl-eligible team this season and set the stage for a repeat of last year's Mountain West Championship game versus Fresno State. The Broncos will take on the Bulldogs this Saturday at 5:45 for the title of Mountain West champions. This is the final home game of the season and will shape up to be the biggest. So get your tickets, round up your friends, and head to the field to cheer on our Broncos. It's going to be another good one. Back to you guys.
Great coverage, Cole. Did you go to the game?
Nope.
I did not either, but I already got tickets to the next one, so
Nice.
Hopefully the weather will be okay. I don't know. Let's toss it over to Sam to find out.
Thanks, Lily. So let's see how cold it's going to get this week. On Thursday, we're going to see some showers with a high of 45 and a low of 32. On Friday and especially Saturday, we will see some snow showers. So if you want to make it through the whole Mountain West Championship game, make sure to bundle up. On Sunday, it'll be back to being cloudy with the high of 35 and a low of 22. And to get the week back started, on Monday and Tuesday, it'll be partly cloudy with highs of low 30s. And then on Wednesday, it'll be cloudy again with the low of 29 and a high of 29 and a low of 15. So as we can see outside, it is pretty sunny, but the temperature is dropping, so be sure to get the winter jackets and to stay warm. That's it for the weather this week. Back to you guys.
Nice.
Thanks,
Looking
Sam.
forward to the cold. Aren't you?
You know, I'm not too fond of the cold, but I am fond of, curling up in blankets and drinking hot chocolate. So I guess I have that to look forward to.
That's a win. That's a win. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Mason.
And I'm Lily Crolius. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.